This morning, I want to lay out how David Cameron, George Osborne, how they feed the media with the propaganda, how when their mouths open, they're lying, they're liars. Because they say one thing and do another. And the words are amazing. You know, decent wages, basic income. We want to move to a higher waged economy. But this is a lie. If you look at the David Graeber article that he wrote last week, Britain's heading for another 2008 crash, here's why. In it, he talks about the Peter Paul principle. And it's to do with the private and the public. One goes up, the other goes down. And it's a graph of you know, if you take money from here, it goes to the... Now, what the government is actually doing... What this government is actually doing is the George Osborne deficit swindle. Billions for millionaires and heartache for millions. That's what's actually happening. So all this talk about moving to a higher waged economy, decent wages, it's lies. It's absolute lies. They're saying we're going to have a living wage by 2020. It's 2015. In the meanwhile, immediacy... You know, corporation tax. This is the great George Osborne deficit swindle. Corporation tax has been cut from 28 down to 20%. And now he wants to do it a further 18. He's going to lose £8 billion. 8 billion in corporation tax, in collection of just this one tax. Corporate 8 billion. Capital gains tax, their entrepreneur relief thing is going to be 5 billion. Do you think that these corporations haven't got enough money already? The bosses, the CEOs, the owners, that they could already afford to pay a living wage, that they wouldn't already be attacking people's pay and conditions. The Tories are helping them by crushing union laws, by making the right to strike, to take away they're already doing it with 0-hour contracts. Low pay, no pay, 0 hour. They're already doing it. The Lord Wolfson for next. You know, and what they're actually physically doing is massive cuts to corporation tax. Number one. Number two, capital gains tax. What about the millionaire's top rate of tax cut from 50 to 45%? If he wanted the richest people in this country, their wealth has doubled under austerity. Doubled. The billions they've had, they've got double the billions they didn't have. Why would you cut the top rate of tax? Why? Why? If you wanted to get the deficit down, why would you do it? Why would you cut corporation or give out capital gains tax? Why would he sign number 4, inheritance tax? What about inheritance tax? He's raised the threshold. So the money, it's all adding up. What about signing the Swiss bank tax evasion deal? He's so smart. He's so on ball. All these new stipulations he's coming. He let off thousands upon thousands of UK citizens. He signed in one stroke. He let them all off. Their goods, their chattels, their properties should have been confiscated. They should have been jailed. Tax evasion. Tax evasion. And he signed them off because they were rich, they were royals, they were celebrities, they were bankers, vulture capitalists and hedge funders. You know, shares for rights. He signed a shares for rights. Another massive tax evasion bloody deal. Why? And his own thing, Osborne and Little, they paid no tax on 200 million. Because what they want is they talk about lower welfare. See, in this is the crux of it. So you've got all of this. This is a higher waged economy. They talk about a higher waged economy, but the coup is, and this is the swindle. Apart from giving corporation tax, capital gain tax, millionaire top rate of tax, inheritance tax, Swiss bank tax evasion deals, shares rights and Osborne and Little. Apart from all of that, they want a lower welfare. That's what they want to do. You know, that is the Peter Paul principle. That is the poker. That's what David Graeber's. You can't take from one. Like if they took from there, the other one would go down. He said if you got 40, say like there's 40 chips, and you got 20, and you take a couple more from there. Well, how you're not going to give them back? You're going to keep taking, and that's what they're actually physically doing. And what they're talking about is shifting the burden. So the burden. This was yesterday in the Telegraph. They were talking about, like, George Osborne is actually, through the tax credit cuts, is giving the impression that, because these are workers. These are workers. These are low-paid workers that he's attacking. He's going to take out. He's going to take their money. Giving the impression they're shifting the burden into. That's when they say we want lower welfare. So when they make arguments like 4.5 billion working tax credits, why these tax credits? We need to move to a higher wage income. Why don't you move to a higher wage income first? Why don't you do that? See, what they're doing is it's not that they're crafty, they're bloody blatant liars. You know, working tax credit cuts is going to smash people. Absolutely smash people on low incomes. They say that people, if you're on such a low income, you should be looking for a better job. There's millions upon millions of jobs that need doing, that are always going to be low paid, that are always going to be exploited. These are the ones that we have to fight for decent wages. These are the ones that we have to get a basic income. And if the bosses don't give it, if the bosses and the owners, if they're not feeding down, it's not even just this corporation tax, but these billions extra that they're earning, if they're not feeding it down now, if their wealth has doubled and they're not feeding it down now, how is cutting corporation tax, capital gains tax, how's that going to feed more down to the workers? See, what they're actually saying is this lower welfare. This is the crux of it. You know, we're giving the impression, you think about that, we're giving the impression that we're attacking workers, and these are the wrong type of people. But at the same time, this week, they announced ESA, a cut of 30%. This is sick and disabled people who are, and they said it's to incentivize them to go back to work. It's just a straightforward cut. Let's take 30%, because it doesn't matter what impression. Who cares about the sick and disabled? We need to, have you seen Benefit Street? We need to lower our welfare. And that's the George Osborne, the great George Osborne deficit swindle. Because what they're really trying to do is take more money from the poor, make the poor have to pay for the excesses of the rich. You know, sending DWP goons to infiltrate charitable bloody food banks to intimidate the users and to scare the life out of them. Can you imagine if they're chasing them down? No one would even go to a food bank anymore, knowing that these you see them when they're all standing there like that, these bailiffs and these evictors. You know, that thing this week, stopping carers free hospital parking. You know, that's stopping carers free hospital parking. Who's getting the money for the parking? Private corporations. Private corporations. That epitomises everything. You know, the George Osborne deficit swindle, the whole thing that the government is lying. You know, when they speak, when their mouths open. No, because it's a massive scam. This is what I'm saying about austerity. You know, the George Osborne, his family business paying no tax on 200 million. You know, that is the context. That is the context of austerity. It's not just tax breaks, it's zero tax for the rich and lower welfare. So the people at the bottom are going to suffer the most. They're going to pay for what I gave you the list the other day for the Gucci, Armani, Ferraris, yachts, jet skis, you know, Porsches for Porsche. You know, big stag on the wall like a giant cock that he shot in the bloody Highlands of Scotland. When George Osborne says, we are the builders, and they're building blocks. The blocks are, I did a watercolour, the blocks are like, never, ever trust a Tory.